Alright, here is the video review for the FansHobby MB-15 Naval Commander, aka Armada Optimus Prime, if you are wondering where the naval part of that name comes from. Here's the base figure in vehicle mode. We also got a little baggie with some different ears. Actually, these are the ears that came attached. We'll show them off. I've got the alternate ears on there right now. And then transparent eyes. I don't have the batteries for the light up feature. I thought they were supposed to be here today. They got delayed, and so we'll show off the light up feature later. But basically, you can swap out his eyes and they light up red versus being a very nice painted metallic red. So it's entirely up to you how you want to do it. He is, you can see he's the Armada mode truck. He's got some real working rubber treads back here on the trailer, and when you roll, you can see they do work very easily. It doesn't require a whole lot of force. If you just pull the trailer along or push the trailer along, they roll just fine. Also, you can see he's got a swivel system that attaches under here that allows him to easily swivel back and forth while attached to the trailer. And all in all, just a pretty cool. He's not battery powered. He does not auto transform, unfortunately. But the transformation is actually pretty fun and not unintuitive and enjoyable. He also does come with a little spark plug figure, which is, he has some issues. One of the ones I had is these little rear view mirrors are separate pieces just kind of pegged through there, and one of them was really loose and it kept popping off, and you could see it's like smaller than a grain of rice because it's just a very thin post going through the door. Also, one door, the ball joint, I could probably clean it up, but I didn't want to modify it before I did the video review. But one of the ball joints I think has a little bit of extra material, so the little clip keeps popping off and it doesn't sit flat the way the other one does. But you get a little spark plug. He does have a Minicon port, and that's the other thing. They're little flip up all across here, both peg holes and Minicon flip-up ports all over the figure, so you can plug spark plug in here and attach them in the same way that Minicons could attach to the old Armada toys. There's one hidden under here under this thing. These little pods come off on each side. This pod also actually opens up. If you want to, you can store the Minicon in there and then reattach it. Oh, I guess you need to fold that down to reattach it because it's pegs over this, but works with, like, here's an old actual Minicon spark plug that can plug in. I found some of my old Star Saber from one of the ones, but you can attach these things all over the vehicle mode here. He said, just kind of rambling. And again, you've got the ports. If you wanted to attach him using his port, that'll plug in there. Or if you want to attach him using one of his little post holes, you can put old school Minicons all over this guy, which is kind of cool. These are Japanese exclusive dudes, and I love them. But anyway, yeah. So that's the basic there. Again, we'll go ahead and get. We'll show him off real quick here in robot mode. And he's got a really weird transformation and kind of an awkward robot mode. You got to get his legs, kind of split them and bring them down around his head first. I guess you can pop these out a little bit. Yeah, so get the legs out and bring the legs around. Bring this centerpiece here on the back of the vehicle mode needs to pop out. See, that's the arm I'm talking about. This should come out. There we go. Flip that up. And then bring the legs down around past this while you bring that up, and then rotate him at the waist and flip up his feet. And then the arms are supposed to come up. There is a peg. You can see there's a little slot here in this piece, and there's a peg up behind the windshield screen where you can flip this up and tab that into place, and then flip his head up into place, and this just kind of sits up here behind it. And then this arm again can come up and peg into place here. Oh, there we go. Had it rotated the wrong way. Come on. Peg it in, and then you bring the arm down, and then this elbow peg kind of extends out a little bit on the elbow so the arm can bend forward here, like that. And then you kind of push in this little tummy panel a little bit. It doesn't go in a lot. It just kind of pushes in there to give it some separation. I'm going to go ahead and pull this arm out. But you can see this little windscreen light that tiny little peg post. I'd put just a little dip of super glue on there just to hold it on. But if that thing pops off, good luck finding it. I think that took me 20 minutes to find it. But this little ball joint here, I think there's some extra material down around the base that's keeping it from staying in here very well, because you can see this arm I can kind of get down, and that's about as far as I can get this one in. You can see it's kind of springing back up to the material, and the ball's kind of pushing up, and if I push it too far, it will pop right out of there very easily. But there is the robot mode. He actually has a couple grooves in his hands so he can hold the matrix, and we'll show that off when we get to that point. But there's a little mini-con. As for Prime himself, we'll lift it up under here, and you can see this is on an extending foldable hinge that connects here. It's just a couple pegs here on the back of the car that plug into this gray piece. And that's going to fold up pretty much for all the rest of the modes here. But it does collapse up and lock tab onto here once you've got it attached, so it sits more properly here in vehicle mode, and it can still swivel, but it comes down and around for transformation. We're going to set this off to the side for the moment and focus on the cab. Now, these are the smokestacks. They're pegged into the side here. You can do that. They come packaged, and for transformation, you're going to want them back. There's another port back here you can plug them into. Like I said, this is how he comes packaged. But if you want to have him have his stacks there on the side of the vehicle mode, you can move them there, but you want them here for pretty much all the rest of the forms. And to transform it, we'll go ahead and flip his feet here, down and around, and when you flip this around, this little tab locks into here, like that, and like that. And then you can split the legs, and then the arms come loose here and out on these hinges. And you can already kind of see where we're going with this. Go ahead and lift this up just a smidge. And this is why you want the smokestacks here, because his arms come down, and then these pieces right here actually run around like this. And then you can see that there's a little hinge there that rotates around. It brings him to the outside, and that's what opens up this space so he has a proper elbow in robot mode. So you want to make sure they're here, because if you have them, I mean, you can put them here. If you keep them here, they're going to end up on the back of his arm when you rotate this, whereas if you put them on the front, it ends up here on the side of his arm. So it really all depends on where you want these smokestacks. Just like that. And then you open up his arm and extend his hand. I'll flip it too far there. And then this will tab back into that slot there in the arm. And then you can collapse the arm up like that. And now he's got proper elbows and not lanky arms. There we go. Keep going just a little bit too far with these things. There we go. And collapse those up. And then this piece right here comes off the front. And untab this piece. This panel just kind of angles up like this, and these fold in like that. We'll talk more about this area later. And then inside here, you can see there he has a little gold matrix. Bring that all the way down. He's kind of got, this is kind of attached by a chain, and this will also make sense later on. But the matrix does pop out, but you might want a little prying tool to get at it, because it's very, it's in there very well, and it's frustrating to get it to pop out without the right kind of prying tool. This worked earlier, but you can see I've taken a chip out of it. There we go. But it'll pop out, and you got a little plastic matrix with a little glowy jewel. Actually, not glowy, it's sparkly jewel in there. And you can see there's some little grooves on the side. There's some little grooves here in his hands, so you can have him, there we go, hold it if you can keep his arm together without popping off. I think this is a fantastic figure. The spark plug's a little iffy, but there we go. Bring it down like this. Yeah. Come on, there we go. Does not want to cooperate. it. There we go. There we go. He's got it. Awkwardly, but he's got it. So you can do that. Snap that back into place. And then this little, on these little chains, you bring it down and you just kind of fold it up and peg it onto his chest. And you can fold this little bumper down a little bit. But there is the base mode Prime. And you can't, these legs do extend for the super mode. So if you want to make his legs longer, you can. We'll show that off. These panels are on like little dual swivel hinges back here. So if you want to get those out of the way, they don't have to sit right up against the legs like that. Which frees up his legs to move and pose. He's got knees. He's got ankle tilt. And then the foot. He's got a foot articulation. That came on the tab from back there. Oh, and these little kneecaps pieces flip up. Like that. And all in all, he's a pretty nice little Prime. His head is on a double ball joint down at the bottom of the neck and where his head meets it. So his head's got a lot of really good range of motion. He's got ball joint there at the shoulder, as well as the hinge here. He does have bicep swivel, the elbows, wrist swivel. His fingers are all up and up. The index finger is separate. And then a solid piece. He does have the groove in his hand for the gun. And the gun is stored under the vehicle mode. And like I said, it's got a little slot there. Just like if you've played with any FansHobby toys, you know. It's a big, bulky gun. It makes more sense in super mode. But it's still pretty cool little gun. And also, these little missile launchers, I'm going to grab one out of here just because of, to show it off, these little missile launchers. But what's neat is each individual missile actually has the spring mechanism in there. There's a little, I can't tell if you can see the little gray disc in there, but there's a little gray disc and then a spring in this part. So you can put it in the gun and then, or into the launcher on the base mode. And then when you push this little piece right here around the sight, got to help so you put it in right. It's not, it doesn't super launch, but you can pop a, oh, that was actually a pretty decent launch. It's a pretty decent little spring in there, as well as on the base mode. And we'll show off how the launchers work in the base mode here in a moment. But there is the basic Prime. And just real quick, here he is with Voyager Earthrise Prime. I don't have the original Armada Prime anymore, sadly. Here he is with Masterpiece Prime. And here he is with MMC's Optus Pexus. Just to give you an idea of how he scales with some other figures here in his base robot mode. He does, oh, there's a waist swivel. So here, these little pieces right here, you need to unlock. You just slide out to unlock the waist swivel on him. He does have a waist swivel. He's got dual ratcheting hips, thigh swivel, hinge knees. I showed off most of that. I forgot to show off this. But these little white pieces right here, again, you need to use. You might need a tool to do it because they're a little tight in there. But you just pull these ratchets out. Just a smidge here, and that will unlock the waist swivel. Although, before you go to super mode, you do want to lock those back into place because he's going to split right here. And this is one of those things where it's only kind of a half circle. So if you don't lock those back into place before you turn him into super mode, his arm's just going to fall off if you rotate it too much. So make sure, but you can unlock a waist swivel here on the smaller robot. But you want to make sure to get that lined up and lock that back into place before you turn him into a super robot, or like I said, you'll lose an arm. You won't lose it, but it's relatively simple to put back on, but you know what I mean. And then the trailer does turn into a base, sadly not automatically like the old Armada Prime did. But you take these little pods off, and you come up here and flip these panels back, and then pull these down, and actually extend them all the way down here. Go ahead and fold this piece around, just kind of however you can get it to set up here. We may need it in a more specific position later, but go ahead and flip that up. And then the whole, those will fold in later as well. The whole upper half opens up here, like this. Actually, when you come back here, because there's an extended truck mode where you can pull these panels out in vehicle mode and kind of rotate them up and around and make like some sort of base mode with the truck. Like this, I think. Yeah, it's something like this. And I forgot to show it off because it's not super compelling. It's neat, I guess, if you want to do it, but it's just kind of turning the trailer into a, I'm not sure, like a camping thing. You can do that in vehicle mode. But anyway, bring these panels up and around here and fold this whole thing out and around. And this will actually latch into place. You got to get everything lined up right, but it'll like that, and then rotate it around. So this comes around like this, and then these come down. They rotate here at this gray hinge, and then again where this lighter beige meets the darker gray here for this, and same here. Rotate this around, rotate that around, and we're going to start putting the base together. So this piece comes down and around like that. The same with this one right next to it to form a little ramp here in the front. I'm going to pull this down here in a second so you can see what I'm talking about. But this will, there we go. So you got a little ramp here in the front. Then this piece comes up. And when this is up, yeah, this will come up, and this little tab right here will tab into that. That's why you had to flip the gray piece around, because this tab is too big for it. This little tab on the back is what slots into this panel here. Like that. And then this panel right here, this whole center section comes up. You kind of lift it up like this, like that, and then you can lift that up past that. This little panel comes back. I guess I need to flip that up. Wait, no, this one stays flat. Hold on, I'll forget this. Oh wait, no, this. I turned this around the wrong way. This stays around like this for the time being, and then here, you open up. These panels come down. These panels stay here, and then right here on these blue pieces, you split the legs. This piece comes up like this and plugs in here to form the platform. These panels come up. There's a little tab here that folds in on each side, and these are going to come up and go around this. That should stay pegged in here. There we go. And it'll kind of wrap around that, and then do the same on this side. Hold that panel down. And then here, these little guns right here pop up and extend like that. There's a little groove in there to get them going. And then you can have these face backward, as if you want to have them face forward. You can rotate them around like this. And these are little missile launchers too. Each one has 3 missiles in it. And then there's just a little gray button back here that fires them. And again, all these missiles are the same. They're just the same little spring-included short missiles. Here. You bring these out to the side and angle them down like ramps. And what's cool is, here in this base mode, these blue pods can, you can attach them. They will plug in. Like I said, this opens up and you can store spark plug. I guess he's too big, but you can store this guy inside here. And there's a couple little tabs here. You can attach them down here to either ramp if you want them on both sides, and have little mini cons kind of roll out of there. Let me pull this out so you can see the whole base mode here. Or you can angle. I'll have to remember exactly which way these go. You can see there's an angle slot here, and you can line that up, get that onto one of these posts. Maybe this way. Yeah, like that. And then these little tabs will fit into the slot down here. They should, at any rate. You see these little slots right here fit these 2 tabs. But maybe it's, well, no. There's a way to do it. I'm just trying to figure out the puzzle because this has to match that, but then also match the angle of the slat. Nope, that's going back that way. I mean, it will just stay on the slat if you prefer, but there we go. And then you can kind of push it down so it tabs in, and then these also have little panels that have some missiles in them, but they'd be facing upward there. It's hard. We'll show them off in robot mode. But so you have a couple different options for the pods. And I'll try to see if I can't do this from the other side. You can see how this is. That's all right. Yeah, there we go. It goes in the slot, and then these little tabs go down here on the base of the platform. So you can have them store here. You can put them on the ramps. I'm messing this guy up all over the place. And then you can take the gun, the large gun here. It does transform into a larger cannon, both for super mode and for this. You can fold this panel up. Oh, I did it too long. There we go. And you can fold the handle up, and then you can take these and bring them like this. Actually, I guess you do want this one down. But you can plug this in. There's two holes up here on the top of the base mode. Let's see if I can actually raise this up a little bit here. There we go. Up here, and you can plug this in as a weapon. Put one of the missiles in there, and then you can have Prime, the main figure, come up here and man it. And then you can have him hold on to the handles there and use the big gun. Spark plug, we'll have him stand up here to help aim. We've got a full little base mode there. Although it's all coming undone down here, but you get the idea. And then the fun part. Bring this back down here. We'll go ahead and hit him off to the side. Bring this back up. Pull this back up like this. There we go. Take the large gun off to the side. Set Prime off to the side. All this, go ahead and take these off. We're going to collapse a lot of this back down. Flip this down. Flip this back up. Push that back down into here. Like that. Bring these down. Fold that down. Fold these panels back up. Like that. And then we'll come down here. Bring these up. Fold this up. Fold this panel back and around. So fold those so they're all completely compressed. Like that. Then take this. Fold this piece up like that. Now we rotate this around. Fold this around, down and onto the back. Fold these panels up here like this and tab them into place. You can have these face however you want. Just like that. You will need to get this out of the way here to fold this panel up. Again, bring this up a little bit more. We have fold these, twist that back around. You can see there's a slot here for them. Slide them right up against there like that. Tap that back around. This just kind of sits in the middle, however you want to do it. And then the treads will tab in here. There's a little peg hole or a little slot here in the middle of these. Fold the treads down and split these panels apart like that. Again, you can have those kind of set up like that. Come around to the front here, and we will flip the toe. See this gray piece here? Flip it all the way up until it pegs onto that, which will have the toe pointing up a little bit, but once it's pegged in, bring it back down. That gray piece will kind of pop out of the toe and fill in that space. So make sure, and then pull the foot all the way down so he reveals the ankle tilt there. Push in the gun here and rotate this to face up. I guess you can leave the gun out, but just face it up like that. Make sure that stays up. Just be careful because you can. I had a bit of a time the other day. There's a little notch there to get your thumbnail in to pull these out. You can push that too far into the barrel, and there's no real easy way to access. There is a hole back here, and if you get like a small toothpick or something, you might be able to push it back out. I had to get a Q-tip and shove it in that barrel, and thankfully it came out very easily, but it is possible to push that too far into the barrel, so be aware of that. Extend the foot. You can see where we're going with this here. Have that plugged in. These fold down and then slide up. They may already have slid up as you transformed it, but see this blue piece here, it slides up on that hinge to get a little bit out of the way. A little bit out of the way. And that is a pretty impressive pair of pants here. Let's see if we can't get this a little bit more secure so it stands up. We'll just stand them up here in the background while we do the rest of it. Oh, and these right here peg on right back again. Make sure that, one, you want to make sure that the missiles are facing forward and that this little cutaway, single cutaway, goes over this edge. So you plug them in like that, and then you can open this up. He's got missile pants. So there is giant pants. Now we come to Optimus himself. And what we're going to do first is we're going to extend the arms again, like this. Fold the hands in. Oh, you have to close that up. Same over here. You have to make sure those are twisted exactly right, because if they're not straight across, part of the hand will catch there on that hinge. And then fold the rotate the whole cover forward again. And then we're going to open up these panels right here. Bring them up around the robot mode head. Then this piece right here, this panel does in fact come back up and plug in right here. So tab that all together like that. These chains, it's a little awkward. There's a couple hinges you can see right next to the screw hole. You got to kind of pull this out and then pull the chains up right next to that circular piece. Rotate this piece around and then flatten those back down. And then this piece comes up and is going to, these two tabs right here on the white, this is going to tab onto those via these two slots right here. It can be a little tricky to get those lined up first. There we go. So that's going to slot in there like that. And then we'll bring them over like this. And this is, again, before you do this part, make sure these white tabs are locked in. The waist is locked again, because we're going to split this whole assembly right here. And you can kind of see right here, here's the half circle. And if you pull that off, it'll rotate right off when you start to rotate the arms. So bring these arms straight back. These panels right here are going to, you can see this peg goes into here, and this peg on the hip goes into this blue slot in the, or blue hole in the gray panel. And there's a double hinge here. It's hinged at here and here, so you want to make sure you're bending it here at this one, and it's coming straight out of the. So make sure this hinge is coming straight up out of the main blue piece, and that you're folding it at the hinge on the flap to plug that in properly. Because otherwise it won't line up right, and you'll have a heck of a time getting it done. There we go, just like that. And then the foot, go ahead and put the knee caps back down. The foot folds, bring the arm down, the foot folds back up and around. And again, there's a tab here that tabs into the bottom of the foot. And same over here. Like this. And then you can extend this down. And same over here, fully extend the leg. And then open up this panel right here and flip out his giant fist in much the same manner as his smaller arms. And you're looking at something like this. Bring the arms kind of down and around like this. Bring these arms forward. And then be very careful, because here on this cab part, Mine seemed fine at first. People were talking about this hinge down here, and down here this hinge seems okay. But you do need to open it to get to the head. And so when you do that, I'll show that off first. Be gentle, like it comes apart like right here, like this right under the window. That seam right under the window is where this whole assembly comes forward. So kind of wiggle it loose. But you only want to bring it down to about here. Don't force this. Like the head is a little tight fit, but you don't want to pull it. You'll have the clearance. Don't just yank this down because that hinge can break. There's already some cracks in some of these small hinges on these panels. FansHobby is aware of it. They made a post on their own page and they are working on a fix. So don't let that deter you. He's a solid figure, and like even with the cracks, they haven't been getting worse. It looks like it may have been something that happened when the pin was fired. Obviously, if it's a deal breaker for you, it's a deal breaker for you. They are working on a fix, and like I said, I've been careful with it, and I haven't had any worsening of the cracks, but I do have some cracks in these hinges, which we'll show off. FansHobby's aware of it. They're working on a fix. But then, so bring this down here. Bring these arms down a little bit away from the head, because you're going to want to fold the head up like this. And on either side of his super robot head, there's a little tab here that kind of slides out. That has, you can see, kind of has the locking tab for these shoulders. Now, it can be very difficult to hold this up with enough force to lock this into place. You can see, like, unless you get right up in there with a strong tool, half of it will want to push back in, except you can kind of take his super robot head, turn it all the way around, and then kind of push it down and bring his chin back in to hold that piece up, and then it just locks right into place. So just kind of, if you can get that, you just kind of slide it all the way out, or at least as far as you can, and then you can kind of, like I said, come back behind there with the chin, and that will hold it in place enough for you to be able to lock that into place. Then you just rotate it back up, lift his chin up, and there you go. This piece does come right back up here. And then here's where the issue is, because these panels right here fold out and around, and you can see, like, this doesn't fold straight out. This folds to about a 90-degree angle. And you can see some little cutouts there in the top. And then you fold it in, and these panels flip out. You can see there's little, like, kind of puzzle piece cutouts. And this may be where some of the stress is coming from, because you have to push it at the angle this is cut. You have to push it just a little bit back to get those pieces to fit. So be careful with that. I think they're recommending it, like, and it could be if that's the stress point, because there's a little bit of a crack here in this one, because you have to push this just a smidge back farther. So if you don't lock those into place, you might be a little bit more secure and less prone to breakage. So the first couple of times you do it, maybe just bring that back and don't actually tab that into place. Now that I'm playing with it, I can kind of see how that stress and how this crack does get a smidge wider when I lock that into place versus when it's just folding out, because it's not visible when he's not in this mode. So FYI. I did put a little raised 3D repro label symbol there because I thought it looked good, but he does not come with that. These are the extra included ears to look more like the old toy. I'll swap out the angled ears. Although it is a bit of a dilemma. You have to unscrew the head from the bottom of this white panel, and then you have to unscrew 3 screws in the bottom here and slide some pieces apart to change the ears. So I'm not going to do that on camera. But I will show them off. And then the arms, you come down here, and you don't tab them in flat. There's an angled tab right inside the front of this that's going to tab on here on this lower tab here. Like, get that lined up properly. Come on. Yeah, so it'll tab on just like that, and then this tab will sit above it. So be careful once you tab it in that you don't knock it too hard, because that tab is just resting right above the edge of that, and if you did it too hard, you could shear that off. I haven't been scared of doing that, but it is something to be aware of. So then plug those in, and once that's done, back here there's 2 tabs on the arm that will also peg back into here and help secure this shoulder joint, so it's not just locked in place by this piece next to the head. And there is his upper half, and then there's a tab here, kind of a hook tab here, and then 2 clips here, and that's going to go into the pants. You can see here's the slot for the hook tab back here, and here's where the 2 tabs come in. So you do want to make sure, kind of angle it in back here first, get that to lock in, when you push it down, make sure to push it all the way down. There's a cutaway for this part of his roof to go into the waist. Make sure it fits all the way in the waist, because it is, I showed a Twitter video, it's super solid once you get it connected all the way, but you do need to push down to make sure it connects all the way. There we go. And there he is in his super robot mode. Again, I'm going to try to stand the camera up in a way. I actually have a button here, and I wonder if this is going to work if I hit 0.5. Nope, it will not. I can start off at a wider zoom, and it's still sitting over there on the side. I keep hoping maybe one day I'll be able to lock that or be able to zoom out without having to actually physically pull the camera back. But, oh well. But here he is in his super robot mode. Again, the gun does the same. He's got fully individually articulated fingers here in combined mode, and the gun can just slide in there. And his head, you can lift it up for a full range of motion. Again, it doesn't have the double ball joint, but if you pull it up on the neck, it does have a ball joint up there, so he's got a really nice range of motion there in the head. He's got dual hinge shoulders, bicep swivel. He's got all the articulation that he had in his smaller robot mode, wrist swivel, as well as fully articulated fingers. He does have a waist swivel here, although these pieces do go with that. These panels can get out of the way. He's got ratcheting hips in both directions, thigh swivel, ratcheting knees. He's got the ankle tilt, the toe tilt, the front to back here on the foot. Again, you can open up these little pods to give him missile pods. Come on. Go back on. Come on. There we go. Are you kidding me? As long as you don't grab them by the missile pods, they stay on pretty well. Come on. There we go. And he's a pretty nice representation of the Armada Super Mode. Like, he really is just fantastic looking. It's a shame about those cracks. So if you get him, be careful. Like I said, they are working on it. They're aware of it. I actually learned about it from a Facebook post of theirs. I saw some people talking about it, and I'm like, no, I'm fine. And then this morning I woke up and I saw their Facebook post. So it's not like they're hiding from it. They are working on it. But like I said, I haven't had any issues with it as long as you're careful. And it's like I didn't realize how nostalgic I was for Armada Prime, but he's just a fantastic looking robot. Just really cool. Here he is with his Minicon. Just really amazing. Like I said, I do highly recommend the 3D Toy Hacks labels, because that looks fantastic. There, it looks like the old button because it's raised in three-dimensional. Here he is with, let me go ahead and transform old school spark plug here. Who is also, I can't really criticize new spark plug that badly, because even the old one was not anything, any great shakes. But again, he ends up with some pegs and ports up on his shoulders. Is that the only one that's visible? I guess if you take these missile pods off, he's got some ports there as well. Thought he had more Minicon ports, but maybe I'm just wrong. But yeah, very cool. Again, we'll get those other primes out. Put them all here at once. Here he is with Masterpiece, regular Optimus, with Optus Pexus, and with Siege Voyager Prime. Just to give you an idea of how much larger he is now in his combined mode. And yeah, give me a second. I'll swap out his ears, and I can show off what he looks like with those with the included standard ears here. Give me 1 second. And here he is with the standard kind of just angled triangular ears that he comes packed with. Just to give you an idea. Personally, I kind of dig these little exhaust pipe looking ones, but he looks fine. He looks great with either of them. But like I said, so if you get one, just be careful, because you can just these panels here on the side, you can just pop those out to the side without actually locking these into place. I'm going to use this just to kind of pop this out. You can kind of fold those back without putting any pressure on them, and even fold this panel in to kind of fill in that spot without risking damage. So you can still get the decent look until they get the fixed parts out to you. Like I said, I don't know that it's worth, knowing that they're fixing it and knowing that there are ways to just be a little gentle with it. I don't know that it's worth canceling a pre-order. That is entirely up to you. I don't work for the company. I'm not trying to push sales. I'm not. This is not a be sure to drink your Ovaltine kind of moment. But I do think he's a fantastic figure. Like, the engineering is just super. He's a lot of fun. And he just, like I said, there's just something about, he just has this physicality. Like, I just don't want to stop playing with him. Or at least just having him in this super mode sitting next to me while I'm watching TV on the couch. He's just a really nice figure to, like, he's fun to play with. And he's just really cool to just look over at every now and then. They have teased a Megatron to go with him. An Armada Megatron. They have also teased both Jetfire and Overload. So we may get a even bigger combined super mode Optimus with space shuttle pants and gun backpack. Also, speaking of gun backpacks, these little panels right here can rotate. He's got a special, you can actually bring these around if you want. You can untab these, bring this up, and swing these panels all the way around. You can bring these out to the side here and give him, bring him around and give him kind of a little extra weaponry. Don't worry, again, I'll make sure we get a good shot of this. Yeah, you kind of bring those up like wings, and you don't have to bring them up quite this high. You can just flip those out to the side and bring those around, kind of around his arms either. But you can deploy the missile launchers here in Super Robot mode, which is also pretty cool. But there is MB-15 Naval Commander from FansHobby. He is a very nice rendition of Armada Prime. And again, I'll show off the light up eyes when the batteries come in, but even without the using the LED, the shiny red paint they use on his eyes, from where I'm sitting, almost looks like they're glowing to me. So you don't need the light up eyes, but if you want them, you can get some. It takes like AG0, like 367 or something like that. Which I have a butt ton of batteries over here under the review table, like all sorts of button cell batteries, and it seems like every single time a third party releases a toy that needs batteries, it's a different kind of button cell. So I've got a whole collection of, and every time I order them from Amazon, it's always like $5 for 20 of them. So I've got a whole ton of little button cell batteries sitting over here. Unfortunately, just not the ones I needed for this guy. He's fun, he's cool. Be careful with the cracks, although again, they are fixing it. But just a really nice, just a nice looking Prime.